Hello, and welcome back to the Born and Bred Podcast. This is episode 1 of season 2, and we are your hosts, Brendan Gallagher
and Maria Lynn. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Ace Hardware, located in Shinston, West Virginia at 1428 South Pike Street. From leaky faucets to squeaky doors, paint projects to garden renovations, Ace has everything you need and the expert advice to get the job done right. The friendly and knowledgeable staff at Ace Hardware in Shinston are ready to guide you through every step of your project, no matter how big or small. So visit them today at 1428 South Pike Street in Shinston.
I can feel your lies, they're coming around. The further I get from you, the closer I get.
So we are excited to be back. We've taken the summer off. We had ourselves a hiatus, and we have been going nonstop this summer. So we started this summer at Pub Fest. I got to go down to Pub Fest in I think it's called Cool Springs, West Virginia, or Cool Ridge. It's Cool Ridge, sorry. Cool Ridge, West Virginia. And it was put on by the boys in Alabaster Boxer. Quite an amazing day. Awesome lineup of bands, vendors there at the Weatherground Brewery. And just awesome all around. They had bands inside, outside. It was a hot day, but it was a really, really good time. That was what I kicked off my summer with. And then we were involved in a festival here in Shinston called Shindy. And Maria and I actually were in charge of that festival and putting that together. Who were some of the bands that played that?
Well, we had some returning bands, which included the Moonlight Twin, Heavy Hitters, Emily Adele and the Hot Mess. And then we had some new bands to the Shindy stage, which included, again, Alabaster Boxer. They were our headliner. We had Annie Neely, Sam Eplin, Samuel James. We had a great lineup. It was a good day. It was a rainy day, a very, very rainy day. And thank you to Pike Street Bikes in Shinston for providing the tents that kept everybody dry.
Yeah, that was, it was a very interesting day. When it rained, it was
When
pouring.
it rained, it poured, as they say.
Yes, it poured buckets. When the sun came out, it was like the surface of the sun. So it was neither, there was no middle ground. It was just constant. But it was a great day. Really had a good time.
But by the end of the evening, like, there were kids playing in the rain.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
It was actually a really nice vibe.
It set a good tone, I felt like, for like what you would expect to see in West Virginia at a music festival. And then we wrapped up the summer with 2 awesome things. So the Italian Heritage Festival in Clarksburg, talk about another blistering hot weekend. I only got to go on the Friday.
Yeah, I went on Friday and Sunday. Sunday was much more comfortable and a really nice atmosphere down there. Friday was super, super hot. And I remember thinking, like, thank God for some of these buildings providing some shade because it was so hot down there.
We went Friday at midday, right?
Yeah.
And it was packed.
Oh, yeah. It was, I mean, they had really just kicked it off and it was packed down there. They got a great crowd.
All weekend long.
Weekend,
I mean, the weather was kind of iffy on the Saturday, and they still had an amazing crowd.
I was there 10 a.m. Sunday morning. There was a huge, I was genuinely shocked. I thought, because I got there early, that there would be a small crowd, and the streets were just packed.
Really?
Yeah, it was great.
And then I wrapped up summer at Healing Appalachia down in Lewisburg, which is the festival put on in conjunction. Some of the leadership there includes Tyler Childers and a bunch of awesome people like Charlie Hatcher. Just an amazing team. I went down there with, again, Alabaster Boxer and just covered it from their perspective of getting to play that event. And it's a very powerful event, very awesome weekend. And it's all about providing resources and help for those who are struggling with the opioid epidemic that has plagued our state, plagued Appalachia. And it's just a really, really cool event. And if you didn't get a chance to go this year, make sure to get your tickets for next year. That will never disappoint. You will always have a good time at Healing Appalachia. So yeah, that's a little recap of some of what we did this summer. And then we just launched this past month, here in September, we launched our new mini concert series called
Stomping Grounds.
And we were really excited about this. This is something that Maria and I had been talking about doing since we launched the magazine. This was going to be a component of it. Do you want to tell them a little bit about that?
So we recorded here at the studio with Mountain Craft. They were awesome to work with. We had the musicians performing 2 live songs, and then there's an interview segment. So we just dropped our first one, which was with the Moon My Twin. They were so good. Just mesmerizing, really. I mean, I remember after they recorded Possession, the whole room was just silent for a second because I think we were all in awe of what we just witnessed. So it was super fun. The set just looks so good. I'm so proud of this project. From the first moment I got the first peek at the video footage, my heart raced. It looks so great. I couldn't be more proud of this project, of the Moon My Twin being the first artist to be on this project, and of the collaboration with Mountain Craft. Excited.
We got to see the early edit of this, and when they sent it to us, we were both just amazed at what was created here in this space. And we think that if you haven't checked that out yet, please do with the Moon My Twin. We've got another one dropping here very shortly. We won't tell you who that's going to be yet, but you'll see that soon. So with that said, we want to introduce our next segment here, where we actually got a chance to talk to our friend Philip Bowen. Some of you may know him from America's Got Talent fame, but he is from Montgomery, West Virginia. He's had a very successful career, and he built that career
on rock and roll. No, just kidding.
On folk. But he built that career by being very good with social media. Now, he has a degree and background in marketing, has a lot of experience in marketing, and he took those tools and he applied them to his music career. So we had a great conversation with him about that. But before we do that, we really just want to stress that with you guys, the importance of good marketing and having a brand for your band, your act, your musical career, whatever it is, and really knowing how to hone that in. There's a lot of things that we're still seeing a lot of artists not do. One of the things that I think is kind of a pet peeve for me is artists, I really feel like you need to be on both Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
If you want to say anything about that.
Well, I think it's very common that especially now the younger bands are tending more to be on just Instagram or Instagram and TikTok and not Facebook. But I think it's still very important to be on Facebook, especially for events, because on Facebook you can create an event, you can invite your friends to that event. I mean, there are so many more tools on Facebook for getting people to your shows than there are on Instagram or TikTok. And I just think all three are important, especially in West Virginia. I think a lot of people around here are using Facebook quite a bit, and it's a missed opportunity to not include it in your social media lineup.
Nationally and worldwide, we actually just recently put out a graphic talking about this, but nationally and worldwide, Facebook is the #1 social media platform with more users than Instagram, more users than TikTok, and more users than what is now known as X.
I think because they're newer, especially TikTok, because it's newer, that people think oh, it's new and shiny and therefore it's the biggest one because they're hearing the most about it lately. Or these are what the young people are on, therefore this is what you need to be on. But the reality is maybe, yes, you should be on TikTok, but it's not just TikTok. And the other reality is while the young crowd may be on TikTok, there's a whole other spectrum of ages that may not be on TikTok. I mean, most of my friends, not to age myself, but most of my friends are not on TikTok. So even if I started posting content on TikTok, most of my personal friends wouldn't even see it. So if you're really wanting to cover all your grounds, I think you really need to be on all three.
Yeah, and actually with going back to Facebook being the largest platform with the largest number of users, and that's active daily users, Facebook is the biggest one. The age demographic that a lot of people are shocked when I tell them this, but the age demographic, the largest age is between the ages of 25 and 39. The second largest is between the ages of 18 and 25. Mm-hmm. So to think that, people under the age of 30 aren't using Facebook is just not correct at all. And they're actually very active on there, according to data, and using it daily. So bands, you really need to be on both. And so we kind of talked a little bit with Philip about just how all of that has come together for him and how he's been able to use Facebook and Instagram and TikTok as a way to build his music career. So we hope you enjoy this conversation that we had with Philip, and we'll be back afterwards. All right, let's welcome in Philip Bowen. Philip, for those of you who don't know, is an amazing musician. He is a fantastic guitarist, vocalist, fiddle player. Honestly, I've yet to see him not be able to do something. Can you play drums, Philip?
No, I can't quite do drums.
Great, finally found it. All right, so so Philip is not a drummer, but just thanks for stopping in today and checking in with us. Wanted to talk to you about a few different things, but a question I've been asking people lately, and I'm just kind of curious if you can answer this. If I was to say to you, all right, Philip, you will get $1 million right now. What album can you sing that's not yours from start to finish?
Oh man, from start to finish, I would say, oh, I got one. I think I could probably do the James Taylor Greatest Hits, it's like number two. It's like the white, it's got a white cover on it.
I have that on vinyl.
That album I could probably do cover to cover.
Nice. Okay. All right. Well, I don't have $1 million, so we're not actually gonna play that game. So yeah. So I wanted to talk to you about a couple of different things. You and I have spoken before about marketing and things like that, and you have really done a fantastic job of marketing your music. And I even hate to use that term because it's so like some people think it's kind of dirty to say market your music, but that's really what we're doing. I mean, that's what you have to do now to get out there. So how did you first start marketing your music? And what have you changed since then? Where have you gone from that beginning where you started doing online stuff and where are you at now?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to basically use some of the principles from like my life before music. So for those that don't know, like, I have my MBA in marketing, and I did that mostly because I chickened out to do music for a career at first because I was, terrified of being a starving artist. And so I went to grad school, did the corporate thing for a while. And that ended up being a big blessing in my life because my whole corporate career was in like digital marketing. So the best thing about that was that I basically, when I was kind of starting this out, was like, all right, I'm going to treat myself like I would like a client. Like if I was trying to like build something from the ground up and trying to build this like an honest to God, revenue generating, interest gathering thing more than just scraping by, like how would I do it? And I try to utilize this principle, some like really basic intuitive principles of like, okay, you should be able to find anything you need to find about me in like 2 clicks or less. So like some stuff, which I'll say that sometimes to people when I'm doing talks, whatever, they're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah, like, if somebody's on your social media profile, for example, and they want to find your latest release, they should be able to go 1, 2, and in 2 clicks be in that song. Anything more than that, you're going to have a massive drop off. So little things like that from the beginning, I tried to institute. And then I think maybe where, for me, this thing was the fiddle, but I have really had to focus in on what made me a little bit different than all the other noise out there. Music is a hyper saturated industry, like a lot of things. And so whether you want to call it like a music influencer, just trying to get your stuff heard or whatever, I just had to find a way to get people into my music world. And so the fiddle covers helped me with that so much, just building an audience and building a brand around my stuff to get people in the door. And that served me in a few ways, like one, getting like session work clients to help boost my music income more than just royalties. So that served me for like session work and collaborations and stuff like that. But then also having an audience for when I released my own music, I had kind of had a built-in audience beyond just being dependent on kind of outside forces to promote you. So, I know marketing and promoting yourself is really difficult for some people to wrap their heads around, but the bottom line is like, if you don't do it yourself, like you really can't bank on a lot of press coverage, because like a lot of times that's paid media and stuff like that. It's very difficult to get that going. And so you really, really got to do the bulk of that, building that community yourself. And you just got to get after it and, build it up.
It's very rare that somebody like what we do at Born and Bred just exists where we will just find your stuff and just cover it for you. People don't realize that's not how this works. And so, we do that because we want to circumvent that for artists and give them an opportunity to be heard. You mentioned that within 2 clicks, people should be able to know enough about you. One of the things I find that I see all the time is, especially with what we do here, Born and Bred, where we're trying to find West Virginia artists, is I can't find locations for artists if I want to book them. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know how far. I want to be able to assess that right away. How much am I going to
Yeah.
be paying you to travel to wherever you're coming from? And the number of artists that don't even have their location, what type of music they do, anything of that nature. And it's
Yeah.
like, I need to know that quicker than this.
Yeah, I think that a good principle to follow is that a summary about you that you should, a very marketing kind of term is like an elevator pitch, but really that's what your website and your presence should be. A snapshot of at the top of your profile or your website is that like people should have got kind of get an idea for your brand and your flavor and like what you bring to the table very quickly. And especially like when your contact section or your about section, if I want to book you, how do I do that? Do you have a booking agent? Do you have a booking email I should be using? How do I do that? And I think sometimes people would get really way into the weeds on their booking page where they'll go into like full on pricing specs for every possible opportunity. And I don't think that my personal opinion is that I don't think that ever needs to be published all the way like that. Like there's no point because things can be so different from time to time and client to client and job to job. But the important thing is like, well, how do I how do I even know where you are? Like, how do I know how to reach you and who to reach out to? And if I need to be working with somebody else, who is that person? Anyway, so I think that like those kind of like hard things and a good principle that somebody shared with me early on is like imagine it as if you're walking down the street in Nashville or wherever you are, and you come across an industry person that is like wanting to book you for something, and then hey, I have 20 seconds. Can you tell me about like what I need to do to get in touch with you about this thing? You should be able to do that with your site because the thing is you never know who's coming across your stuff. And so without giving your life story, like how do you get the hard important stuff across so that people can learn more about you and go as deep as they want to go.
Yeah. So beyond putting out one of my favorite albums of the last 2 years in Old Kanawha,
Thank you so much.
sorry, I feel like I put too many syllables in Kanawha. How do you all say it down in Montgomery?
I think down the farther south you go, like you lose a little bit more of the syllables. So like I think maybe in Fayette County they may say like Kanawha,
Yeah,
Kanawha. But like
Kanawha.
maybe the further north you might go, people might say Kanawha or Kanawha.
Yeah, I
But
feel like we use the
yeah,
W up here. We definitely
yeah,
include the
UCW.
Kanawha, and I don't feel like down south
We
you
get a
got,
little more lazy with it. It's just Kanawha.
yeah,
Kanawha.
W is just not a necessary thing.
Yeah.
Same area that says hurricanes. It's fine. The so um but beyond putting out that amazing album Old Kanawha and having one of my favorite songs in Vampire in Appalachia,
Thank you so much.
and let's see here, Murder, a Murder was in that. Oh
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Dude, that album is just full of some amazing songs. Beyond that,
Thank you very
you've
much.
also had opportunities through marketing and through all the experience and exposure you've gotten in the last few years to play on some pretty cool projects. What's one of your favorite things you've gotten to do in the last year and a half?
Oh man, that's a really good question. I mean, I've got to play some really awesome projects. I played on two different songs on Noah Kahan's record, Sixth Season, which is, you can't go anywhere and not hear about that album. That was a real pleasure to do that. I've got to work with Sam Barber on some stuff, and he's like a real, banging up and comer. I got to do some fun content with this great channel Appalachia Untold. We have to do some fun stuff together. I like 49 Winchester just released their new album. The fiddle you hear on the first song is me on that. So like I got to work with a lot of really great friends in the industry too. Like I literally just got done doing a 4-show run with Ian Munsick. I had a break from my own tour, and so it was kind of a fun like role switch to just go play in a band for 4 shows. I just literally just played fiddle. I wasn't singing. I wasn't worried about being the artist. I was just, in the band for 4 shows, and I got to hang out with a really good friend in music. And so a lot of that stuff is a direct result of, you know, uh, just getting out there and networking. Like I just played Chiefs in Nashville for the first time about a week ago at a writer's night, and I got to play with Wyatt Durrett, like a really amazing Hall of Fame songwriter. And so there's just some really special things that happen as a result. Our industry, like almost every other industry in the world, is so heavily based around networking.
Yeah.
And the real impactful stuff with networking, and I can never stress this enough to anybody, is just like the power of authenticity. Like that is the best thing that you have going for you. It's just the uniqueness that you are you. And so that's your superpower. And I think that the more that you can just try to stay true to who you are and what you're trying to do, and put yourself out there for opportunities and say yes and show up, it's just amazing what can come of that. Like that random call you get months later or weeks later. Hey, remember me? Remember doing this? I heard about you from this or that. Like, would you want to collaborate on this or that? And I have received so many wonderful things. Like I did a ton of shows with my buddy Josiah, who sang with me on
Yeah.
Vampire and Appalachia. One of my very, very best friends in the music industry, Josiah Lemming, who's Josiah the Bonnevilles, and we've gotten to work together on so much stuff, and I'm so happy for him. So, anyways, those can be really special things that are a natural growth from just kind of like working away at your brand and just putting stuff forward.
Absolutely. So yeah, you've had just in the last 2 years, I think you've had one of the coolest rises that I've gotten to see from somebody here in West Virginia. And
Sure.
there's a lot of amazing things happening here. You
Totally.
and Charles Wesley Godwin, Sierra Farrell, Christian
Mhm.
Lopez. There's so many artists right now that are starting to get this national recognition and coming out of West Virginia, and it's just
Crazy.
amazing to see it. But the common thing that I know amongst all of those artists is great marketing, great presence on social media, and knowing how to get yourself out there and doing that networking with those right people. And
Think
so,
about how unique all those people are in their own way. Like
yeah,
I put an event at the Greenbrier in July, and Sierra was the entertainment on Sunday night, and I was entertainment on Monday night. And so when I was there Sunday night just to kind of support and show some love, and like I was sitting in the audience with my wife, and one of her band players like saw me and was like whispering in her ear, and she stopped and she's like, Philip, is that, I knew that was you, come up here. So like I ended up like playing like 8 songs with her, and we were talking about this afterwards, like what's so dope about that is like if you think about, like Sierra and I maybe grew up maybe 20 minutes from each other. She's from Charleston, Charles is more from Morgantown. Tyler is like maybe from a stone's throw from West Virginia and Kentucky, whatever. But like Sierra, you could not find a more unique personality than her. And she is unapologetically just her. But like somebody told me a long time ago, there is somebody out there waiting to be your biggest fan. There is somebody out there waiting for your song to be their favorite song, but you've got to take it to them. They're not going to come and find it on their own. That's a really rare, rare thing.
yeah,
And so it is hard, to do the small things and to play the half empty things. And that can be discouraging when you're comparing yourself to everybody else all the time. But as we say we used to say in like the corporate world, those kind of things in marketing have a very long tail, you
yeah,
know? And so I cannot tell you the quantity of things that have come back to me 6 months later, 9 months later, 18 months later, based on something somebody had seen me at or heard about from something. And so like the hardest part is just to keep going and to do the thing, because it does pay. Like I was Sam James opened up for me. He's a local West Virginia kid in Morgantown, opened up for me when I played a show in Morgantown, and he was so great. And I think he was feeling some of that. Like, oh, it's just such a grind. I was like, I know it is.
yeah.
But that's just how it goes. I mean, there's no substitute for that work. It is what it is,
Yeah, and I've had conversations with Samuel James about that, and you just got to keep doing it and keep putting it out there and keep going for it. And he's looking to a lot of you guys who are doing it, and so are a lot of these younger artists. They're looking at you guys and saying, "Hey, it's possible," and you guys are setting a template that no, don't expect that just because you do it this way, it's going to happen. But there is a way to make it happen, and you guys are showing that it is possible.
It's possible. And I like I told him, or I talked to Grace has opened up for me before, Grace Campbell, another great artist from Morgantown, and I was telling her, I was like, like like I was like the week I happened to be talking to her, I was like, I had a really crusty week this week. Like, it just was not going well for me, and I know that when you are going through whatever stage you're going through, the tendency may be to look at somebody at whatever stage you feel like is ahead of you and feel like that's like they're just cruising now. But it's just funny, like no matter who you talk to, whatever artist, big headliners, like everybody has their days and their moments where they're just feeling like they're not there, or they're not doing enough. And so, the contentment part of it is so difficult for everybody,
Oh, yeah.
which is why it's so important to have the community in the artist world, because that is what kind of gets you through, the different life cycles of doing all this stuff.
I recently had somebody say to me, man, Charles Godwin just came out of nowhere. I was like, no, Charles Godwin did not come out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I watched him open for my band back 7, 8 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was, when he was in a band project.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of times as a solo artist, he rounded out. He put that work in like nobody's business. And so many of you do. And people don't realize it's not just going to happen overnight. You got to work, and you got to work hard for it.
Totally.
So anyhow, congratulations on all your success.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah.
We are here in fall. What do you have coming up, and what do you have happening?
Yeah, a few really exciting things I'm super excited about for the fall is like here in October, the 11th and 12th. A project I've been working on since the spring. These hometown shows I have in Montgomery, West Virginia, and so it was very important to me to do these like honest to God tour quality shows in Montgomery, like not out of state, not somewhere else. And so as of this moment, we put up the first 2 shows. They sold out so fast. And now we've got a third matinee show on the Saturday. So depending on when this drops, we have some tickets available for that now. Hopefully we still will. But if we have those 3 is sold out, that's so bananas to me, because that'll be over 1,000 tickets for Montgomery. And we've already sold tickets from 8 different states, and they're all coming to Montgomery, which is so awesome. And so if you're around the area and you want to be a part of that, there's lots of fun stuff going on just in our community to kind of celebrate that. I'm hoping to make it a bigger thing next year and bring in some more artists. And I've got some really great artists opening. Like one night, Jonathan Payton and his wife Abigail are opening. One night, Brennan Edwards is opening, which I love Brennan. He's opened for me before in Nashville. And then during the matinee show, local music hero Kegan McLean is going to be opening for me on the Saturday show. So I wanted to I get a true local opener in there too one day. And Kegan has played with me before and opened for me before, so he's going to be opening on the Saturday matinee show. So trying to kind of give the love back and have a true local opener too, during the one show. So that's happening October 11th and 12th, and then in November I've got a Hickory, North Carolina show, a Spartanburg, South Carolina show, and then an Ann Arbor, Michigan show towards the end of November. So that'll kind of round out the fall, activities in terms of shows, which I'm really excited about.
You got any music that's going to be coming out over the next few months?
I do have stuff I've been working really hard to release. I've got a song called The Wheel that I'm really excited about. I don't have a release date for it yet. And this other song called Best Pretender that is done. The recording work is done, but we have to figure out we're kind of in that editing phase now, and then when we're going to drop it and release it. And so I have some other kind of interesting things happening in terms of releasing music, and I'm not sure how I want to bundle this project and stuff like that. And then I do have a to kind of celebrate the 1-year anniversary of Old Kanawha, we're doing an emerald green, an Emerald Waters version of the vinyl, which was just great because I haven't really talked about that at all yet to anybody. So I'm so hyped for that. They'll be out by the time this podcast drops, and they're this gorgeous emerald green kind of rippling water effect vinyl. We're only doing 500 of them. That's it. So I'm so excited to kind of get those out there, and we'll have those at the shows and online and stuff. So I'm really
just take my money. Just take my money.
I just got a sample of it. They are so pretty. So I'm excited for those.
Well, I'm excited to get one of those, and I definitely will be ordering that. Thanks, Philip, for stopping in today and talking with us here at Born and Bred. And as always, man, thank you for being a friend of what we're doing here at Born and Bred. And we will see you hopefully here in the next couple of months as you come back to the state.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Thanks for supporting Appalachian music. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Hey, we'll talk to you later, Philip.
All right, man. See ya.
All right. So thanks for checking out our conversation with Philip. And thank you for checking out this first episode of season 2 of the Born and Bred podcast.
Share it with all your
Yes,
friends.
please share. We hope this has been helpful to you and benefits you in some way, shape, or form to help build your music career, or to you as the listener who's enjoying West Virginia music. We hope you've learned something today, and we hope you have found something new that you can take with you. And make sure you're listening to all of the amazing music that's out here in West Virginia. We've got multiple playlists on Spotify that you can check out, where you can find West Virginia artists that will appeal to a wide range. And we also just recently, this past summer, put out Born and Bred Rap, because there are a ton of amazing rap artists in the state of West Virginia, and we wanted to highlight them and show off what's happening here with that Appalachian West Virginia hip-hop scene. So thank you again, and we will see you on our next episode, dropping very shortly.